The organizational meeting, roll call.
Leah will be conducting the roll call.
Okay.
In Albany, Margaret Evans.
I am here. It's Maggie, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, it's
Dennis
all right.
Wilson.
Present.
Daniel Maskin.
Here.
Miguel Santos in Buffalo.
Here.
David Hahn in Buffalo.
Here.
Michael Martin. Patricia Cruz.
Here.
Tina Zerbian.
Here.
Jeff Lewis representing Stuart Mitchell.
Here.
In New York City, June Mulgrave.
Here.
Maurice Reed.
Here.
Manita Holly Atkinson.
Here.
Ease Vilas. Belinda Groneman.
We have quorum.
That's cause for celebration in itself. Being that there's no old business, we'll move right into new business, election of officers for 2015 and 16.
Oh, hold on one second. We're double counting the quorum check. Hold on.
Don't do that to us.
9, 10, 11. We should have 11.
All right. Oh.
6, 7. Yes, we have enough for quorum.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Election of officers, 2015, 2016. Do we have a slate?
Yeah, Dan, can I suggest?
Sure.
I think we should start with nominations for, call for the nominations for second vice chair, then vote on that.
Okay.
Call for nominations for first vice chair, vote on that, call for nominations for chair.
Okay.
Vote on that. If there's more than one person nominated, then we'll use the ballots. If
All
there's
right.
only one, I think we can do a voice vote.
Okay.
You know.
All right, so call for nominations for second chair.
And I would add now, I think there were people who already indicated interest. So Annette, do you know who those two were, and we can see if they're still interested?
Yes, when I did the call to all the members, Tina Zerbian and Manita Holly Atkins expressed an interest in the second vice chair position.
I
Okay.
want to see if they're still.
Are they still interested in doing that?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
and I would defer to the other young lady.
So
Seems like a
Manita
setup.
Holly Atkinson's deferring to Tina
That's
Zerbian?
what she just said.
Okay,
Absolutely.
anybody second the nomination of Tina Zerbian?
Second the nomination of Tina Zerbian?
I'll second it.
Dennis Wilson seconds.
Anyone else
Anyone,
like to nominate?
anyone else like to step up, nominate themselves or someone else? Hearing none, we'll call for a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Stepped out of that
Carried. Congratulations, Tina. All right. Now we'll call for a nomination for first vice president. We have Dennis Wilson. Any others? Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I'll call for a second.
Second.
Second the nomination, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
Carried.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Can I do this for myself?
Do you want to hand it off to the first vice chair?
Yeah.
Okay, is there any nominations for chair other than Dan Maskin? Nobody's nominating from the floor, so I'll ask for a motion.
How about second
A
nomination?
second nomination. A second, please, for Dan.
I will second.
Okay, Maggie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried.
Okay.
Congratulations, Mr. Aguilar.
Congratulations.
All right, so I call for a motion to adjourn the annual organization meeting. Don't all jump at once. Maggie, second. Do you need a second to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Congratulations, everybody. Now we'll go into the regular meeting. Can we say it's safe to assume that the roll call can carry itself over to the to the regular meeting from the organizational meeting?
We have the
Approval-
addition, wait 1 second, we have the addition of Mike Martin for the second meeting. He just came in.
All right, Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, so we'll add Mike Martin to the list of those present. Okay, approval of the minutes from the previous meetings. A review and approval by vote of the minutes from the organizational meeting held in December 2014, and the regular meeting held on December 8th of 2014, and the meeting held on March 31st, 2015, which there was no quorum at any of those.
Can I just add a point?
Sure.
to this? So the meetings that did not have quorum, even if we approve the minutes, it won't make it an official meeting because there
Right.
wasn't quorum. This is still, though, to get approval of the minutes to reflect that it was an accurate representation of what did happen at that gathering.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve those minutes?
I so move.
Jeff Lewis.
Second. Any corrections, additions, subtractions? Very good, we can enter them into the record.
Who was the second? Who made the second on that?
I will. Maggie Evans.
Thank you.
She's on a roll.
You-
I know,
You
right?
technically,
She's on a
you
roll.
technically don't need to unless there's a change, so that's why I just.
Okay.
I don't, and it's noisy. I don't have a lot to report, other than, you've been watching the emails from the National Community Action Foundation about, allocations for CSBG, LIHEAP, Head Start, and also, it appears that the reauthorization of the Community Services Block Grant is really starting to get some legs, and David Bradley is going around and visiting targeted congressional districts to talk about getting support onto the reauthorization. So that concludes my report. Veronica?
Well, I just had two quick things. One is I wanted to welcome Jorge Montalvo to this meeting and introduce him to everyone here today. He's the new Deputy Secretary for the Division of Community Services. He also oversees the Office for New Americans as well, and as many of you know, it is a sister division for us. The Office for New Americans was born from CSBG and mirrors many of the eligibility requirements and target populations. So hello to Jorge. If he could just let everyone know that where he is and that he is here. He left, huh?
I'm back. I'm always back.
Okay. I don't know if you'd like to take a minute or so to say a few words, Jorge. I just finished
Yes.
introducing you, so you missed that part.
Yeah, and then thank you guys for having a few minutes to hear me out. As you guys have seen, I think in the newsletter, my name's Jorge Montalvo, and I was recently appointed by Governor Cuomo as the Deputy Secretary of State. Concurrently, I continue to run the Governor's Office for New Americans. So many of you I've worked with in the past in other contexts when I was helping to run the state's Consumer Protection Agency, or in my Office for New Americans context, or when I was in the city government here in New York. So it's exciting to be part of the CSBG gang officially in a more official capacity than before. I've obviously read your GSCRs, and I make sure I had a really close eye on the state plan, which I know will be up for discussion this morning. Again, thank you guys for all the time you guys put into the council and to your work in the communities. And I'll be here to, and I'm around, so feel free to pick up a phone.
Okay, thanks, Jorge. And then
Jorge?
the next thing,
We have a question.
Yes? What is your phone number, please?
My phone number. You guys ready?
Yes.
It's 212-417-5803. And I'll go through that again. It's 212-417-5803. My email is fairly easy. It's jorge.montalvo@dos.ny.gov. And for those of you who've ever worked with me directly, you guys know I'm used to talking to people 3 or 4 times a day on projects or things we're working on. So I am very accessible. Late night, in the early morning, during the day. I really don't sleep much. So please feel free.
Thank you very much. Miguel Santos in Buffalo will be calling you. Thank you.
Very good.
okay, so thanks so much, Jorge. And it's true, he doesn't sleep. I just want to just confirm that because I've called him at many different times, and there he is.
So you don't sleep either.
Well, it could be that. But anyway, on the application plan, I hope that all of you here have had a chance to read it. I'm not sure if there are any questions on it. It's different, vastly different from what it used to be. Now it's based more like a Q&A format. Here's the question, here's the answer. It gets right to the point. Doesn't leave much room for any additional information other than what it asks for. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I want to encourage you to read it. There is still time for public comment, and that's what we're waiting for in order to close it out. It's due to the feds by September 1st, and so we will be getting it to them. Of course, we'll be inputting the information to them by that day. And again, it's very different. Before it was delivered. Now it's all done electronically. What you have is the template in front of you that is used by HHS in order to organize the application plan. Any questions?
Annette, we have a new member here in the city that joined.
Okay.
Oh, that's Yves Villas from East Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Thank you very much.
Any questions on the plan? If you do, feel free to give me a ring. Jorge just gave his number. You can use that same one. I'm only teasing. You know how to reach me. You know how to reach me. Please feel free to call if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. So feel free to submit those as well. You have we're going until July.
No, August 3rd.
I mean August 3rd. I'm sorry. I was going to say July 28th. We originally had it for July 28th and extended it for August 3rd. So send those comments in. Thank you.
Okay, any old business? Did we have anything that we were supposed to take care of in those one quorum meetings? Nothing came across my inbox. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Follow up on the new triennial assessment process. Annette.
Well, I'm happy to say that we've had 5 reviews conducted under our new tracks procedure. Dennis Wilson's agency was the first to go through that procedure. Dennis and I did a presentation last week at the NISCA conference regarding our new process, the new tool, how to prepare for it. I was very happily surprised at the number of people who showed up for that workshop. We were only expecting about 15. And 51 people actually showed up for that at 3:30 in the afternoon. So I guess it's a pretty important topic for a lot of the grantees. We're in the process of preparing the report for the first 5 assessments that were done. We're tweaking the format a bit to make sure that we include language from the new information memo 138. The report is going to focus on the number of standards that were met and the number of applicable indicators that were met, and identify recommendations for the unmet standards and indicators. If you've seen the previous reports for the core, the final reports that are usually about 40, 50 pages long, that's not what we're going to have this time around. Right now, the draft that we have prepared for FULMAT, which is still in revision form, is about 12 to 15, will be about 12 pages, 12 to 15 pages long, with just pertinent information. It doesn't have a lot of extraneous information in it. It'll include the number of indicators that were met. Each of the standards that was met will be fully explained, and then just the unmet indicators will be listed with the recommendations for each. Dennis, do you want to mention anything about your experience with the process and our workshop last week?
Well, as I indicated at the workshop last week, the process I felt was, the preparation is the largest part of the process, and you got to keep reviewing and reviewing and reviewing to make sure you got everything you need in the boxes. Make it very clear what belongs to what regulation. And then the process of the review itself is very simple because they don't ask any questions. So I need to really emphasize that you need to have everything in the box. It's all got to be in the box because they're not going to come looking for anything. And the process was simple for us because we had everything in the box. Boxes, I should say.
Thank you, Dennis. If anybody has any questions on the new process or the new tool, I'll be happy to entertain those at this point.
I guess, pardon my ignorance, who are the folks that are doing the actual reviews or the assessments?
The reviews are conducted by the assigned program analyst for that particular agency, and a fiscal representative and another program analyst. So they're all staff of the Department of State.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Maggie, before we had a bigger team, a larger team, the tracks, the new tool allows for a more streamlined,
Great.
more efficient approach. So we were able to cut it down.
Okay. And is it a 1 week period that they're in your?
It's 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
Maximum. I think ours is about 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. And is feedback given on an ongoing basis, or do you have to wait for?
They don't stop.
They don't.
Other than where's the bathroom, that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But you'll know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
No, go ahead.
I mean, because you're the one the agency is the one who pulls the information, and they will know
can assess
you're doing your first assessment,
Sure.
really,
Right.
before the team comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Jim, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, for feedback, when the reviewers are there, it's almost conducted like an audit where they're going through and looking at the documentation, taking things back, asking some questions back at DOS if they have any, if there's anything that's unusual or that they need clarification on.
Okay.
But the process has a very formal process for feedback,
Okay.
which is, they put together a draft, the draft goes out for comment, then the agency can comment on that draft, and then it's finalized. And in between, also, there's availability for the agency to always contact the department to talk about any issues that are coming up or that they've noted. So, I mean, it's a feedback process, but at the time, it's not, it's like an audit review with then a formal path for the back and forth to take place to get to a final review document.
Okay. It's interesting because for Head Start programs, it's the philosophy has shifted so that there's much more interview versus documentation review. So I find it interesting that it's being done that way. And I don't know which is the better technique, but
and this is the first year. These are it's based on the standards, and it's based on the tool that HHS has passed on to the community action agencies throughout the country. So
it's very interesting from the same
Exactly.
umbrella agency
Yeah.
that they are employing different techniques.
And it's worth adding that the Department of State process for review, it's not confined to just this 3-year annual audit type review.
Sure.
It actually involves quarterly monitoring visits from the
Okay.
program analyst. And those are more interactive, they're more interview based.
Okay.
So they're out there, 4 times a year having conversations with the executive directors
great.
and some staff. And there's also periodic reviews, which are more on a risk assessment basis. Most agencies will get 2 or 3 a year probably from their fiscal
Okay.
analyst, who's a DOS staff person, who will come out and talk with their financial officer
Okay.
and a little bit with the ED and as needed. So there's a pretty intensive
Yeah, there really
interactive monitoring component too.
Okay.
So what you don't, the tool is, as you're saying, it's pretty surprising the direction they went in with the tool, but I think that tool does complement the
Sure,
the
sounds
additional
like it.
monitoring that they get. That is
Okay.
more, direct interviews.
Sure.
There's also an annual desk review.
Yeah.
Wow.
Comprised of the tools.
I'm
So-
glad it's not just Head Start that feels overburdened by the review.
But
There's an audit every day.
Yeah, right?
So-
So thank you. I
Sure.
just was not clear on the
Can I just
process.
ask one
Jim?
thing of Dennis, because I think it's valuable. About how long would you estimate? You emphasized the importance on the prep prior to, and we said, okay, the auditors are really sitting there, or the reviewers are sitting there for about 3 days. How many hours of prep do you think was devoted to this? 'Cause that's important for us to know.
Yeah.
What's really going into this.
It's hard to put a number on the hours, but we started at least 2 months in advance.
Okay.
2 to 2.5 months in advance, and it was like, sometimes there'd be meetings of many people in my office, and then there'd be, we kept all the stuff in my office on the table. And then all of a sudden, some people would show up that were working on a certain component, they'd be working on their own, so we didn't really log in hours, but a lot of time.
Okay.
A lot of time.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned at the presentation with Annette, once, say, Ann got her portion and thought it was correct, and somebody that was totally unfamiliar went to look at it. And if they could understand it,
Right.
then we knew what we had.
Right.
So it took a lot of prep time. A lot of not training, but cross eyes, not crossed eyes, but unfamiliar eyes looking at it, so that we could make sure it could be understood by everybody.
Right.
A lot of time, that's all I can say.
Okay.
And it's worth it. That upfront time is worth it.
All right, any other questions? Go
I
ahead.
was just going to mention Tina Zerbian's agency is going to be going through a TRAX in July. I don't know if Tina wants to mention what her agency has been going through in terms of preparation.
Well, I would echo what Dennis is saying. It's a lengthy process. We've been talking with our board and our management team and our leadership team really since the tool was in draft form to prepare them for the kinds of documentation that we would be looking for. So it's really been months and months of discussion and preparation on that level. And then in terms of seeking out the documentation to put in those files, I would agree with Dennis. It's been at least a couple of months that we've been working on that. I mean, it's an onerous process, and clearly the burden of proof is upon the agency. But I do believe it will be a much more objective process in the long run.
Right, I agree with that. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Technical assistance contracts, Jackie from NISCA?
Okay, great. I'll start with our professional development and specifically around our conferences. So on April 1st and 2nd, we did our 9th annual symposium on poverty and economic security, and we had it at the Holiday Inn on Wolf Road. We had 2 keynote presenters, Dr. Jim Withers, who actually turned out that he couldn't show up because he had he missed his plane, or the plane got delayed or something. So we were able to Skype him in at the last minute. So he was great. He talked about the street medicine program that he created in Pittsburgh Pennsylvania, and then we ended the conference with Richard Reeves from the Brookings Institute, who spoke about inequality. So they were great. We got lots of positive comments, both the speakers, and we also did 3 panels on the intersection of poverty and what were we doing? Mental health, transportation, and education. We had, 132 staff attended on the first day, Community Action Agency staff, and then on the second day we had 19 more folks because the Neighborhood Advisory Board folks from New York City came up on a bus. So that was great. They've been doing that for the last few years, so that was nice. We moved then into June, and we held our June Professional Development Conference, and that was just last week at the Lake Ontario Conference Center in Oswego, New York. And that went really well as well. I don't have the number of people attended, but I think it was 134. That was the last that was registered without walk-ins. So it's just about the number of people who attended our poverty symposium. We had many, many different workshops throughout. We had it a day and a half. We had lots of different workshops. And as Annette mentioned, the tracks was the most widely attended workshop with 51 folks. We also had workshops on leadership, creativity, and agility. We had Patty Purcell from the New York State Head Start office talking about the future of Head Start. We had Eleanor Evans from CAPLAW. She did 2 workshops on earned income ventures and then another workshop on shared services and mergers. They were both terrific. We also had Sue Buckley and David Tucker come in and do 2 workshops on risk assessment, because some of our agencies had indicated that in looking at the organizational standards, that would be one of the most challenging standards to implement. So we had her coming and doing 2 workshops on that. And that was most of the workshops there. I'm leaving out a couple. And then from there, we are preparing. We actually had our emerging leader session, our second one on May 14th and 15th, and we had that in Fayetteville this year, or this time rather than Syracuse. And we did workshops on conflict resolution and reflective listening, and we had a professor from the Maxwell School at Syracuse University who did that. And then we had a woman doing a workshop on conducting effective presentations, as well as a lot of leadership conversations and facilitated workshops. Then now we're working on finalizing our Region 2 conference. We are the lead, NISCA is the lead for Federal Region 2, which is New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So a few years ago, we implemented a Region 2 conference, which is really around 3 tracks: finance track, HR, and leadership. So the first 2 years, we did the conference in Mahwah, New Jersey. This year, we've moved it to New York, so we're doing it in Binghamton, New York, and it's going to be on September 17th and 18th. We've really pretty much solidified all the workshops except for one leadership workshop that we have yet to solidify, but they're all set. So we're going to be, the registration's already open. We're going to be putting up the brochure on our website. So we're really going to be talking about the uniform guidance. We're doing workplace investigations, being creative with fringe benefits, healthcare reform reporting, and we're going to be doing some stuff on team building. So it looks like to be a great conference. We already have folks registered from New York and New Jersey. Moving it to New York, it'll be interesting to see how many New Jersey folks went to New York, but we have many New York folks who went to New Jersey. I also want to just mention that during our June conference, the CCAP cohort, the community or Certified Community Action Professional, Kim and Carla at our office led a group of 20 people through that process this past year. 13 of them did the final stage of it, which was the test. So they did the test at the second day of our conference, and I think they should already know. My understanding was that they found out this past weekend, so I don't know whether you pass the test or not. If you pass the test, then you get to walk across the stage at the CAP conference in August, which this year is going to be in San Francisco. So we've also done lots of training and technical assistance. Of course, we've been continuing to do our Roma trainings. We've done poverty simulations. We've done governance training. We've been working with some of the board of directors at our community action agencies, going through the organizational standards that we were just talking about. There's 58 standards. 30 of them relate to board. So the boards really need to know about what their role is in implementing the standards and what that looks like for them. So we've been talking to them about that. We've also been doing trainings for management staff. We also coordinated a training on the OMB uniform guidance. 2 days in April, Kevin Myron was a CPA, and he did both days. Between the 2 days, about 65 financial staff from the community action agencies attended. And then we've been continuing to do our IT webinars. 2 were held on how to use Access. We also held a succession planning training in May. Sue Buckley and David Tucker did that training as well. That was another, when you look at those 58 standards, besides risk assessment, the agency said that succession planning was also going to be not necessarily a challenge, but they sort of wanted to make sure that what they were doing sort of was best practice. So we held one in May in Geneseo, and we're holding another one on August 6th in Albany. It looks like we're going to be holding it at the Holiday Inn because several people from the east side of New York wanted to attend and did not want to travel to Geneseo. So that's why we're holding it another one. We still do our help desk twice a week, and our IT director has also been involved with forming a group of those agency IT folks who use CAP 60 so that they have a avenue to talk about any issues related to using CAP 60. And there was a user conference held, they call it user, then a user conference held in Albany on April 13th and 14th. And for publications, we did our 8th annual poverty report, and we disseminated that at the Poverty Symposium in April, and it's also available on our website. We continue to do our monthly newsletters for both. We have a both general NISCA newsletter, and then we also do a Region 2 a newsletter as well, which is geared also to agencies in New Jersey and Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Jackie? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Community Action Angels, is Pat on the phone? No.
We're gonna call her out.
Oh, okay.
Is Pat gonna join us?
Yes, Pat sent along a bunch of brochures and information. That's all the colorful stuff that was in your packet.
Supreme Court just.
Pathways to Kindergarten and Wonder, Child's Path to Learning.
Hello.
Hello, Pat.
Hi.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Dan?
Hi, Pat. Dan Maskin.
Hi. Hi, Dan.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
We're doing very well, and we're sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for your report.
Oh, well, it's not that great.
Okay.
So don't fall off your seat.
All right.
I think everybody pretty much has the report. I don't know the written report. And it was are they showing video and have material?
We have material.
There's a written report in your folders.
Right. And I don't have the, I'm not sure we have the video.
No video.
There's no video.
Okay. Well, you can see the materials. You have the book, Wonder and Pathway for Kindergarten. Yes. Okay. That was kind of an extra statewide project that I put together because I was still seeing and speaking with the schools all over, and then speaking with Vinny from Child Corps, who's up front and very involved in early learning in Pennsylvania for a long time. And I have been too, her since the 80s and myself since the 70s, when I started a preschool in our area. There was none. So it's something we've followed, and I was seeing more and more that regardless of all the money that was being put into Head Start and all the early learning initiatives that were going to child care facilities, that the schools were still reporting almost a 50% rate of kids entering kindergarten and not being prepared. So in in interviewing different teachers and schools around, I could see where the kids were coming from families that were very stressed, families that we were working with, that their economic and social backgrounds were not at the best right at the moment. Transportation issues, a lot of things. So in looking at the materials that had been developed, and I had been illustrating for a number of years with Success for Six in Pennsylvania, I could see that the tools that were being created that were going to the families that we work with in community action were a little bit too comprehensive and not as user-friendly as they could be under the conditions that the parents and the caretakers and the children were living in. So we decided to create a piece of an activity piece that was more appropriate for the tools they had in the house. But I also felt in talking to a lot of the parents, as what I've experienced, that while they love their children, they don't connect nurturing with teaching. So we decided to create a bridge material, and that's what the Wonder Book is. It was designed so that a child and a parent or caretaker, whoever is involved, can bond in that learning experience and never leave that parent's side. So in other words, the activity calendar, they may have to go to the kitchen, outside, to an art museum, to a library, where this learning experience takes place right at side by side. It's more of a nurturing, bonding experience. And in order to do this, we really had to secure all private funding to be able to pilot this, which we did. And everything, the printing, we had, everything was upgraded for free. We received a lot of in-kind and material from Child Corps Publishing because, to be honest, the friendship and the mission that we both share. So right now it's being piloted in 38 counties, many different organizations. I have a friend who's a pediatrician in Pennsylvania who has a clinic, and she's taking care of children who are refugees from Burma, where there's a lot of ethnic cleansing going on. She's seeing how these materials help those children. We're hoping, I'm seeing this as a really good ESOL tool for parents of children getting ready for kindergarten in non-English speaking households. So we're hoping to have that translated. I'm meeting with a refugee center who is going to pilot it in families of migrant children on the farms in 4 counties. There's a lot going on with it. We're trying to, Lee Dillon is going to pilot it in her Magnolia House, which has young single mothers in recovery from drug addiction, and they have children 5 and under, and her staff is going to work with them with these materials. The materials, the pre and post testing will show improvement, and that testing came with permission from Success for Six, which is probably the #1 creator of early learning tools, and they recognized what we were trying to do and gave us permission to use their pre and post testing. But really what the test is all about is engaging parents who are not normally engaged in teaching their children. So that's what that project is about. I'm meeting with, I have already met with some people on our next storybook, which will be a companion to this, which there's a direct correlation between lack of early learning and high school dropout rates and increased incarceration of youth. So I've been speaking to some people in the prison system, and they agree, and I asked them if they felt empathy at a young age, teaching of empathy and caring at a young age was missing in these pieces, and they agreed it was. So right now we're in the process of creating a book that can be used by parents of children. It'll be an early service learning storybook, age 3 to 6. It could be used in Head Start. It could be used anywhere. And at the same time that it's teaching children how to care for others and their numbers and letters and all of that, it's geared to teach the parents who will be using the storybook with their children employment skills. Because every activity that they're going to do in this storybook will teach communication, life skills, and some employment skills that are needed. So we're just trying to, do some work and get it out. And if you had seen the video is meant, it was given to each of the agencies with their own contact information, is to engage business and corporate into this project, because they recognize that if kids are not ready for kindergarten and they don't graduate from high school, we're not going to have a trained workforce. And the businesses that we have shown it to have recognized it, and they're on board, and we're hoping to get more private funding in to create materials for that group that's kind of left behind in this type of learning opportunity. So that's what that's all about. The Smarty Pants project to collect 10,000 storybooks in 5 weeks between our conference in May and the NISCA conference in June, we complemented this so that each of the children were given a backpack. I don't know if you see that there on the table, and a sparkle, or each agency was given enough so they could track between 10 and 25 kids. They're not expected to track the whole 100 children that they were given supplies for. That's up to them to do with what they want. But we ask that they track between 10 and 25 children, because hoping they'll track 25 and they'll be able to find 10, because these kids are very fluid that we're working with. They're in homeless shelters. They're all over the place. So the backpack that you saw is filled with supplies that these kids will need, because they may not have the scissors and crayons and everything either. The sparkle cat it's in the both pieces all the way through, is more of a security for the child while learning. And it's something small enough that teachers say kids do bring it to school, because a lot of these kids that we're working with have never left their parents' side. They haven't been to daycare. They haven't been to Head Start or any type of preschool. So you'll see in the Wonder Storybook there's a lot about leaving home, leaving the parent, a security piece for them. So the storybooks that were collected are part of this project, and they will go into those backpacks for those kids at most risk and put into shelters and places where kids need to learn. So any questions so far?
So Pat, how many was collected? How many books were collected total?
In 22 days, I think there was, I don't know exactly, but just around 27,000, but they're still reporting. coming in everywhere. So I'm sure we're going to reach 30, 40,000 books before the project's finished. But the project that we do every year, you know, is, and I said this at the conference, it's about the kids and everything. For me, it's about us as a network coming together, working together time of year, because throughout the years, we've had to come together during times of disaster. There's been times where an agency would experience there's been many times they've experienced apartment fires in their community where 20 and 30 families are homeless all at once. And we're able to send out an email, or we have the private funding that we can send to that agency to assist. And each year we try to help each other in some way. This is almost, to me, a practice of us staying together, seeing what we can accomplish, being seen more as a unit to help one another. But and people look forward to it every year. We have a lot of fun, and we've always way exceeded our goals. So that's what that's about. And in this project with the pathways, we really, I think we expect a minimum of 26 or 27 children to be served through this and be better prepared for kindergarten.
Okay.
My problem right now is I'm trying to secure more funding because I have more agencies now on the board, and I only had enough for a certain number. So we're securing more funding to get more products or more material printed. Right.
Any other questions for Pat?
I just want to say, Miguel Santos, that I was able to attend a conference in May in Syracuse. What an excellent, excellent conference. We learned a lot from sister agencies or agencies that, throughout the state. And it was very eye-opening for me. And I just pat my hat off to you for offering such a great, great conference and very informative.
Thank you. We were happy to have you.
Okay, Pat, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, enjoy the materials, and thank you for letting me report on it.
Okay, we will.
Okay. Alrighty.
Thanks.
Okay, new business. No, we're done.
Dan,
yes.
Dan, before you adjourn, can I just ask Tim Brogan to explain the travel reimbursement procedure?
Tim, would you take care of that?
Any particular part in that, or you just?
Well, just in case folks, we do have people now in Buffalo.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, and after April 1st, that's kind of the key point, right? April 1st?
Yeah.
The folks in fiscal want every receipt. They're looking for all receipts. Normally, we didn't have to do taxi fare or parking or anything or tolls, but now they're looking, and this comes right down from OSC, that they want all the receipts attached to the voucher itself. Everything else is standard. Is that what you want, or?
Well, we have travel voucher information in everybody's folder. Right now in Buffalo, we've got folks who've traveled quite a distance to attend our meeting. So they've come from Salamanca and from Rochester. So they would do mileage.
Yep.
I'm guessing toll receipts.
Yep. Any parking that's incurred. Yeah.
Can I just ask, do we have a staff person or somebody knowledgeable about this who, if anybody has a question when they're filling out their form, they could call to actually talk
In
about
fact,
this?
why don't
the Business Service Center.
Yeah, we have the Business Service Center. You can call them or you can call us. The Business Service Center's number is on that sheet. But you can call us, 474-5741, that's a 518 area code, and you can ask for Keisha. And then she would be able to help you work out some of the details. What's different now, as Tim was saying, is before you didn't have to submit every single receipt. Now they really do want you to submit every single receipt, including a toll receipt, which was not required in the past, a parking receipt. You know, it used to be that anything under a certain amount, like $75 or less, you didn't submit, but you'll need to just hold on to all your receipts when you travel. That's the most important thing. If you need any of the travel forms, again, just call us. And if you'd like some help walking through it, we'd be happy to help you.
They're in the package.
Yeah.
Question, please.
Yes,
if someone
Miguel.
has if someone has an Easy Pass, how do you prove receipt?
Well, you would need to submit the Easy Pass receipt, the statement, which is what we all do here at the state.
Okay.
So, and that's tough, I know, because sometimes you take the trip and you don't get your Easy Pass statement until a month later.
Right.
You can go online and access it immediately. Usually it'll show up 2 or 3 days later, but we'll need the actual receipt.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Megan.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. If you're, if there's anything on there that you don't want to, that's unrelated, you can black out everything except the travel related to the reimbursement you're seeking. So people who are concerned about that, you don't need to file with the state everywhere you went during the month on your Easy Pass.
Just want to add one other thing. If you haven't done any vouchering, everyone's entitled to voucher. If you haven't done anything, they need some personal information up front to put on the OSC system. I think just address and social security number,
Some
a couple of those
basic
basic information. So, because it goes right to the controller so they can process all that information. All righty?
Okay.
This is applied after April 1st this year or next year?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.